Hi guys, it's Kelly Taylor here, and I am back with another video for Picket Fence Studios. Today is a little bit of a special video because in this release, I actually have 3 sets that are coming out. Today, we are going to be using one specific set, but I wanted to show them all to you. So the first one here is the Peaceful Christmas Flowers. This is a just a variety of poinsettias, kind of different ways you can cluster them together. This one is the Sweet Spooky Holiday. It has a little cupcake that you can decorate with all kinds of ways. I'm so excited to play with that one. And then the one that we're going to be using today is the Christmas Ornaments and Tags. This one I chose to work with because I think it's the most kind of underwhelming when you look at it, because there's a lot of open space. But if you guys, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I really like to make my cards, so consequently my stamps, as versatile as possible. I want you to get the most bang for your buck. So here, I knew I wanted to stamp all of the pieces. Now, the bow and the poinsettia are set inside the present and the ornament, and this was to make sure that we could get you as many images as possible. But because of that, even though it's a 6x6 stamp set, I have to remove the bow and remove the poinsettia and stamp them up top. And then I just put a little bit of repositionable adhesive on the back so I could pick up the whole sheet with my Misty Door. And then I'm going to stamp this in the Intense Black ink from Picket Fence. This is safe for alcohol markers, and I will be coloring these with my Copics today. So the reason that I do this is, one, I know I'm going to be able to stamp all the images at one time, and it's really easy to stamp multiples. So I actually ended up stamping 2 of these, and then in addition to that, I stamped some extra presents and some extra ornaments, and I think honestly some extra bows. But we're going to be making, what do we got, 5 cards today, and we'll be talking about different ways that you can play around with this. So here, the ornament and the present box are, there's nothing tethering them in the middle. So they can, if you lay them down, they can kind of get off the track. So the way that I do it is I just kind of like throw it down and then eyeball it. Alternatively, if you wanted to make sure that it was perfect, if you bought the dies, you could die cut it first and then stamp it. So that way you would know exactly where it was lining up. So now that we have talked about that, basically, if you are looking for complete and total instruction on what we are doing, there will be some instruction throughout the video. But if you're looking for kind of step-by-step thought process, all those things, I will link to the Picket Fence Studios video below. But here we're just going to kind of catch up, have a little bit of story time. There will be some repeat information in this video, along with the instructional one, just because I do kind of, you guys know, if you've been here a while, I kind of go back and forth between, talking about the card and then, talking about just general life things. But yeah, so let's start. Oh, just to make mention here. So I masked these off and now I'm just stamping the pine. That's going to create kind of like some wrapping paper look. And then later on, I'm going to do the same thing with the mistletoe and the ornament. I chose to do my stamping second because this particular ink is not Copic safe. This colored ink that I'm stamping in is not Copic safe. So I wanted to make sure I had the shading down for the wrapping paper first. Okay, so let's talk about life. I can't remember. What did we talk about the last time? I think we were talking about the Nashville craft retreat, and it's already August, and I did that in May. I'm pretty sure that's what our last I made a pretty card and story time was, and I did say that I would try to be better about doing them more often. So here we are, and then I have another one planned for either, well, I was going to say later this week, but isn't it already Thursday? How is that happening? It's already going by so quickly. So I do think we left off with the Nashville craft retreat. And so we talked a little bit about that. That was super good time. I will link to that video at the end. all of the ones that like I made a pretty card in Storytime, I have created a playlist for, because I felt like that just made sense. Like if you were just popping in and you were like, wait a minute, where's the rest of the story? I wanted you to be able to find it pretty easily. So here I'm stamping a couple of extra like bows and mistletoe, but also these 2 lines are meant to be the ribbon on the present. There's no need to mask them. It matches up perfectly as long as you're stamping it vertically. So you can just lay that down and then stamp your ribbon if you don't want to have to die cut it. Speaking of die cuts, before I forget to say this, because I did forget to say it in the picket fence video, they do a really cool thing where they offer a bundle, and I have, these 3 stamp sets that have come out that all have stamps and dies. If you know that you want to buy the stamp and the die, they do a 10% off if you do the bundle. So I think that's wonderful. I think that's such a great way to kind of give back to you guys, if you're buying both things. So anywho, I just wanted to mention that. We did the Nashville Craft Retreat. It's done on Saturday. And they have like really cool other things that they do. So there's like a theme. This year's was Alice in Wonderland, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not even a really big Alice in Wonderland fan. I never understood. But I also never understood like the love of like the diehard fans of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like I never understood that. Also not a big Wizard of Oz fan. I've watched them and I've watched them all multiple times. I'm just not like, this is the best ever. Probably due to the time in which I grew up, because if we're talking about like movies and I'm like, what is the best ever? I'm like, Dirty Dancing, Top Gun, Breakfast Club. Like that's just the time that I was growing up. Adventures in Babysitting with Elizabeth Shue. Anybody seen that? I watched that on my poor mother. I watched that on loop, like when I was a kid. Loved that movie. And there was another one too, which was not mainstream. It's probably like an indie kind of classic thing. It was Monster Squad. I loved that movie too. That came out in the 80s, 90s. I'm not sure. But anyway, so the whole theme was Alice in Wonderland. And then like they do like where they dress up, they, have like different things that you can partake in. They had like the one day Aaron was teaching a class and it had like ice cream scoop die cuts, I believe. And so they had like a ice cream truck, like a food truck, ice cream truck that came to the hotel, which was so much fun. And then they do like, they call it Card Cafe. But basically, it's like a bunch of little mini classes. Probably something, I can't call them make and takes because they're much more involved than a make and take, dependent upon which one you're taking. So like I taught one that was an advanced coloring where we looked at, more advanced coloring techniques like transparency and things like that. But then I know like Nicole from Picket Fence Studios was there and, she did kind of something that was more similar to like a make and take, which was super cute. And so there's just depends on how you want to spend your time. So it was super fun. And we helped everybody pack up on Saturday. They have like balloon decorations, like towers of balloons. So your girl was just in there with a pair of scissors, like cutting balloons to get the air out of them and then scooping up all the little pieces parts off of the floor. My husband was carrying boxes out. Like it's a genuine team effort, which I love. Cause you guys know I'm a people person, work smarter, not harder. Everybody does a little, so nobody does a lot kind of thing. I'm all about the community. And I love that they have such a wonderful community, not just the participants, which they do. They have, the return participants every year, but also within their own team. I love that. But then that gave us Sunday. Sunday morning we checked out of the hotel, but we we didn't leave until Sunday night, because you guys know with my travel anxiety, like there is only 2 options for straight through flights with no layovers, and it's like 8 in the morning and 8 at night. So it was actually closer to 9, honestly. It was like 9 at night. So we did the 9 at night. So on Sunday, we got up and checked out, but then we went and did the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was super fun. I grew up listening to not just like popular country, what was, popular in the 90s, 80s, 90s. But I also listened to, what my parents grew up listening to, which is, one of the reasons why I have a very eclectic music taste that I'm super grateful for. But so like a lot of them, like the old, like Waylon Jennings and Patsy Cline and, the one with the long hair, Crystal Gale, like I also, grew up listening to them. My favorite country artist of all time is George Strait. And, that he had a very expansive career. Garth Brooks, my sister was a huge Garth Brooks fan. He's super talented. But anyway, so it was really, really cool to see kind of all of the different stages, all of the different generations of country music. Now, I will be perfectly honest with you. I don't listen to country music nowadays because being recorded in Nashville does not a country song make, in my personal opinion. Now, so like the country that my son is listening to or my husband likes to listen to, I view that as more like crossover country, more rock and pop versus true country music. Anywho, total like tangent. But anyway, so we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame, and then we just walked around downtown Nashville. We went and saw, we went to Blake Shelton's restaurant, saw some live music there. Went to a couple of other, different like. The live music was everywhere, which was super cool because I was kind of worried like on a Sunday that it might be a little bit less hoppin', but it wasn't. We had barbecue, we had live music, we walked around, picked up some little things for the kids, because as a parent, you can't go out of town and come home empty-handed. You got to get the kids something. So since Peanut is a country music fan, I did get him a t-shirt from the Country Music Hall of Fame. And then we found some other kind of little shops, that had some things. So this is like wildly popular right now. Tell me if you guys do this, because I'm just curious. But like stickers are super popular right now, which is crazy to me. So my son has them all over his like Chromebook. I see people put them on their laptops. Like stickers are coming back. So we did get him like a little guitar that said Nashville so that he could put it with his little sticker collection. And then we got Caitlin a little glow in the dark t-shirt. And I think we got her a stuffed animal. The unicorn. It's a little unicorn and its shirt says, Nashville. But anyway, so it was super fun to kind of walk around and see that. Plus the whole retreat was pretty awesome. I did have a much better, and I think I had built that confidence from when I was traveling and I went to Cape Cod in March, knowing that like the medication for me to travel would work. So I was much less stressed about it, which was really great. Also, I didn't get sick this time like I did when I was in Cape Cod. So that was really awesome, like to not be totally sick. So because we had Nathan's school thing, like we didn't get down there until Thursday. We came home on Sunday, but it was super fun. Love Erin and her husband. Love spending time with them, getting to meet with them. Would highly recommend. Plus, you just get like even just on the things of what is covered, like they do, like your breakfast, lunch is included. Is dinner included? It might be, honestly. I should include a link to their thing. But Picket Fence is a super sponsor for them. There's lots of wonderful companies. I love when companies come together and support small businesses, women helping women, small businesses helping small businesses. Like I'm here for all of that. So just very honored to be a part of it. So then once we got home, summer had already started, and we had kind of gone back and forth about what we were going to do for vacation this year. We knew we needed to stain the deck, which I told you guys a little bit about in some of the videos. That was super, super time consuming, staining the deck. But so we kind of went back and forth about, like, do we do more of a staycation or do we try to go somewhere? And so we decided that we were going to spend the money that we would have spent, like, traveling somewhere for vacation on our pool heater. So that we would get more, in Ohio, like, our season is very limited. Typically it's more like, June through August. And getting a pool heater would kind of extend it to be more into like May to September, that we would still be able to use the pool. And so now can I tell you just the irony of that? So we did all of the things. It was not a cheap endeavor, but it was one that we felt like would pay off long term, that we would be able to get to spend more time with our kids. And we have spent more time in the pool this summer than at previous summers because we can control the temperature. So we we were heading into our vacation week, which I'm sure will be story time some of today and the next one that we do. We were heading into our vacation week with like, okay, we're going to be able to spend, so much more time in the pool with the kids. And, these are the things we're going to do, like little staycations kind of things. And we went swimming like Friday, Saturday, I think even Sunday of like the heading into our vacation week. And then Thursday, no, we came home on Thursday. So I think it was Friday. Yeah, I think it was Friday. Friday, Eric goes out there to check it out, and there's like an error code on the heater. And we have literally had this thing for like 2-3 months. So he was like, I didn't want to mess around with anything. I didn't want to, void the warranty. He did some Googling, and it said like it could be a blown fuse, but obviously, we haven't had it that long. It was very expensive. We don't want to void the warranty. So then he went to go to the pool store where we bought it to see what we would need to do about, doing a warranty claim. And they were on vacation. So for the end of our vacation week, we didn't even get to really use the pool because it's only been like in the 70s. So that means the water is only in the 70s. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that's not warm. Like, my husband makes fun of me because he's like, you want the pool to be a hot tub. I don't want the pool to be a hot tub, but I do want it to be in the high 80s, 90. Like, that's not a hot tub to me. That's comfortable. I can get in. I don't have to, sit on the ladder for 10, 15 minutes before I am, comfortable getting in. I don't have to catch my breath once I'm in the pool. I don't have to worry about my kids' lips turning blue, that kind of thing. So let's talk about this real quick. So we've been doing lots of coloring. This one, this is if you were coloring the ornament and you wanted to leave a white highlight. There's another one, and I didn't show it in the video, but I will show you how to add the highlight if you don't want to leave the highlight in the coloring, like such a bold highlight. We can add it back in with our white gel pen, and we'll do that on one of the other ornaments. But these, like, I just knew that this, like I said before, I knew this stamp set was going to be a little bit underwhelming to look at because it has lots of open space, but it gives you so many ways to play with the pieces to bring them together. And I mean, I don't know if that's going to be, for me, that's what I look for. Like, I want it to be that I'm getting the most ideas out of the things that I'm purchasing. And I realize some people would rather just have them all put together, and I understand that. And so if you're one of those people, this set might not be for you, which is fine. But if you are willing to kind of put them together yourself, I'll give you a lot of examples in this video. But I just think it's like, I think it's I do think it's Jennifer. Jennifer says like she tries to think of 5 different ways that she could use a stamp set before she purchases it. Like there's way more than 5. There's way more ways to use these things, and you don't necessarily have to use them all together. Like, you know, the mistletoe can be used by itself. We're going to do a card with that. The presents can be used by itself. The ornaments can be combined, or, you know, combined with the present or combined with other ornaments. Same thing with the presents. Like there's just a lot of different ways to use them for, I guess my thought process going into it was like, how do you decorate your house for Christmas? You know, and these are different ways that I wanted to be able to incorporate them into a stamp set so that you could do a lot. So here, most of the coloring is done. But I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't 100% married to my card design. So I just went ahead and cut out all of the pieces. And then this part is just me kind of playing around with how they're going to look and what I want to do with them. So like this present, you know, I'm going to turn on its side. I'm going to try it with the ribbon, doing the crisscrossed ribbon and then adding a bow. Like, how do I like that? And I did end up kind of switching that up, but I was getting, you know, my general ideas. Same thing with the ornaments. Like, the ornaments right now just kind of look like circles, not really ornaments, but once you put the topper and the string on, they do kind of come together as really cute little ornaments. So this is just me kind of playing around, showing different things. I talk more about this in the video that's on the Picket Fence channel. So that will be linked below. Anywho, so we knew like that we were going to do like more of a staycation. So we tried to fit in as much as we could, because Peanut, we just did his walkthrough this week, picking up his schedule and stuff for school. So it's really, you know, summer's coming to an end, maybe not weather wise, but school calendar wise, it is coming to an end. So we started the week off, like I said, we were doing some swimming and, you know, just kind of hanging out. Then we talked to his brother and our sister-in-law because they wanted to do something with the kids. So we talked to them about what days would work best. So Monday night, unfortunately it rained. I know that Peanut really wanted to go swimming with them because they're like the young, cool aunt and uncle. Like, you know, when it was freezing on, well, I mean, it wasn't really freezing, but it was cold. It was probably in the 70s. I think it was, I can't remember if it was his birthday or if it was Memorial Day. I don't remember, but like Aunt Mallory got in the pool with him, even though it was frigid. And she was like, oh, you know, it's not that bad. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're doing a polar ice plunge there, lady. So anyway, he really wanted to go swimming with them. Unfortunately, it rained. So we ended up, kind of playing games and hanging out. And then they brought the kids a little treat. So they had like a full-on like ice cream bar. They brought sprinkles and whipped cream and 2 different kinds of ice cream and hot fudge and caramel and all that stuff. So the kids were excited to hang out with them and do a little ice cream bar. Which then they left the ice cream here and I was like, yo, I now have 4 containers of ice cream. But it was very, very sweet of them and it was good to see them. They, I don't remember if I had mentioned before, they were doing, some traveling. He works well, not anymore, but at the time he worked from home and she was doing travel nursing. So they were able to go, you know, to a couple of different places. And so recently they moved back home, which means we get to see them more often and love that. Like we love being able to spend time with them. So then Tuesday, Peanut wanted to go to the movies. So I called my mom, asked her if she wanted to go with us, to see the movie. He originally wanted to see Deadpool. We had to explain to him how that was not developmentally appropriate for somebody his age. And then we looked at what was left. And he's in like that kind of weird age where the kid stuff is maybe a little bit too kid-like, and then the teen stuff is a little bit too old for the age that he's at. So it was hard for him to try to find a movie that he actually wanted to see. So we ended up settling on going to see Trap, which I told you before, like I grew up in the, the 90s, 2000s, as I was a young adult. And so Trap has Josh Hartnett in it. So any of you guys my age, you will automatically know who that is. He was in Pearl Harbor. He was in Lucky Number 11. I was a big fan of Josh. Big fan of Josh. Very like boy next door kind of handsome. And, but then after he did Pearl Harbor, he apparently did not like how famous he was becoming. He was a little bit uncomfortable with all the fame. So he started doing like kind of like underground indie movies that you would see at like, the film festivals kind of thing. So he's been out of the limelight for a long time. So it was very nice to see him, even though the role was creepy. It was creepy. But the movie wasn't bad. I mean, it was, there wasn't a lot of like language or anything like that. There was a little bit of violence, but nothing that I felt was that was out of control for, my 11-year-old to see. But anyway, it wasn't bad. So then Tuesday, we did the movie, and then what did we do that night? I think we might have went swimming again. I can't remember. Here I'm doing, you guys know Blue is my boyfriend. And so blue was a neutral for me because I knew these were going to be some pretty clean and simple cards. I just added a little bit of Salty Ocean with the blending brushes onto the background. And now I'm going to add this paper splatter mixed with a little bit of water. This is the white snowflake one. Very similar to Perfect Pearls. It's just in a liquid form. I like to add a little bit of water so that it is more fluid when I want to flick it in the background. And then I also did some just clean water flicks just to create some interest. And then we're going to start building the cards. So anyway, so we went and did that, and then kind of like the super fun thing that we had planned that we were going to go do with the kids was go to a water park. So last summer, I don't know if you remember, we did take the kids to a water park, but it was an outdoor water park. And Jelly Bean was just little, so she would nap in her stroller. This time around, like, she's not as little. She's got some fear of missing out. She's got the I don't want to go to bed kind of situation. So we did not think she would nap well if we went to that type of water park. However, we did not want to disappoint Peanut because he wanted to go to a water park. So we went back and forth. We're very lucky that in our area we have both a Kalahari and a Great Wolf Lodge. So we looked at both of them and we ended up finding a pretty decent price at Great Wolf Lodge. But more importantly, it was a suite that had 2 separate rooms. And what I mean by that is one of the bedrooms actually had a door that closed, which is what we needed if everybody didn't want to go to bed at, 9 o'clock when Jelly Bean was going to bed. If anybody wanted to stay up after that, we needed a separate room. Otherwise, we were all going to be in bed at a very early hour, which honestly, in hindsight, she didn't even end up going to bed that early. Here, I just adhered it just a little bit further to the left than I would have liked. So I just picked it up, and then any glue I'll let dry, and I will go back in and pick it up with my adhesive eraser. So that was not a problem. And then it's got the cute little sentiment. Now I always blend in my white dye, like the lines there, just because I don't like the way that they look. If they don't bother you, that's totally cool. If they do bother you, this is a nice, easy way that you can blend them in. Because we've colored all of these images, we have all of the same colors at our disposal. So it makes it really easy to, kind of blend the poinsettia into the leaves and the leaves into the bulb. This is the bulb that I colored that we will put the white highlight on when we get to the white gel pen in just a few minutes. For the string, you don't have to die cut it. You can just stamp it. And for this one with the mistletoe, like the hanging mistletoe, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stamp the string. I'm not going to take the time to die cut it. I just didn't think it was necessary. And it makes it nice and easy. I did end up, there was 2 of them that I popped up on foam. Because again, when you have like more clean and simple style cards, you want to do something to make them a little bit more interesting. Picket Fence's foam tape is a little bit thicker because it's made more for like shakers or if you're using a light up card. So I just cut a square, a rectangle. It's a rectangle, Kelly. I just cut a little rectangle. I am going to use my liquid adhesive to give myself a little bit more wiggle room. And then I have the best luck if I stand up from my desk and look directly down at my cardstock to make sure that I'm getting it lined up. And then I can just glue everything to this top portion. And it has that little bit of added interest with the foam tape. Not so much that you can't get it into an envelope, but it's not completely flat like our first card either. So yeah, we were able to find a good room. Then, like right before we left, I got a text message that was like, hey, due to some maintenance, we might not be able to, do you want to upgrade to one of these other rooms? And when I tell you this room was literally the only room in the entire lodge that had a door, it is the only room that had a door. So I was very apprehensive about switching rooms. So I ended up calling them and saying, hey, I got this text message. Do the other rooms have a door? I didn't think they did. And she was like, yeah, I'm not sure why you got that text message. It looks like your room is all set. So I didn't need to be as worried as I was because it ended up working out just fine. Something to note on this card, because I don't like my items just kind of floating out there, I am going to go in with those grays that we used in the beginning and just give this a little bit of a shadow. This isn't going to, it's such a little thing to add that adds so much. Like it doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does make it so the present look like it's sitting on something. This ended up being the only card where I used the white heat embossing on black. I just felt like it kind of grounded it a little bit better. This is the one that has all of the presents on it. And I decorated one of those presents with a little poinsettia. I think that's super cute. And then you guys know the drill. If you watch my videos, I added some clear shimmer, mostly to the ribbons. And then I'm going to go in and add a white highlight to the bows, to the center of the poinsettia, just with a white gel pen. For this one, I very much like the one present we did like green polka dots on. You can also create white polka dots with a white gel pen or silver or gold, whatever kind of gel pen you have, because they're opaque. Somebody's gonna make, like, I'm so hung up on how I pronounce that word because people always correct it, but I promise you I'm trying to say it correctly. But anyway, so I did white polka dots on that. For this one, just something to know, for the highlight on the ornament that has the pattern, you do have to go right over the pattern, because the whole ornament is supposed to be shiny. So even though it feels a little bit strange to kind of go right over what we've stamped, if you want the whole ornament to appear shiny, you have to add the highlight right over those areas. And then I used some rhinestones to just accent our sentiments. This is the Speed of Light one, is the one that I used. So for some of them I used the blue, for some of them I used the color changing ones, and just kind of filled those in. But we're just going to have a quick little look at the 5 cards that we've created here. They all work really nicely together, but they are a little bit different. I hope that, even if this set isn't for you, that this inspires you for your Christmas cards and to see different ways that you can use the things that you have. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.